What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Mythic Plus. Today we are going to be doing our last video in the series, just going over my pug routes, things that I use to time keys. This route will work on anything up to like I think a 14, 15 is the highest that I've used this on. So this is going to be pretty standard. People use kind of the same route for workshop. There's not a whole lot of variability, not a whole lot of things that you can skip, but just a couple things that we should go over and priority kicks, stuff like that, in case you've been missing those. So right off the rip, I would probably recommend that you start this dungeon with either a priest, warlock, rogue, something like that. You just will need those for any skips that you're going to be doing. And then I would also consider grabbing a balanced druid VDH if you want to do this full pull one right here. So if you don't have a balanced druid or a VDH, if you don't have either of them, or maybe even both of them in higher keys, I would probably not do this full first pull. I would probably go half and half and then lust the boss. So there's a little bit of variation on this first thing, just depending on how much damage you have, how much uncapped AoE you have, and how many stops you have for all these bomb tonks. Beam can usually do pretty well if you're lusting and killing this pull very, very quickly, but if you don't have a lot of AoE stops, I would probably just do these 3 mobs with these 6, and then these 6 and these 6. So give that a go. You can kind of do that in any order that you want. It doesn't matter a whole lot. It's not gonna do you too bad. But you could even go like these 3 and these bottom 6 as well, just because this makes it 4 bombs and then 2, as opposed to 1 bomb and then 5. So keep that in mind. But pretty standard first pull. If you don't lust the first pull, lust the first boss, you won't need it again for a little bit. Going down here, this is where, if you're in a more coordinated group, you could do something like this. You'll do a mage skip, and you can actually skip this waste processing unit. If the mage pops mirror image and actually just like attacks from over here, he can pull the waste processing unit, wait for the mirror images to die, go invis, and then double blink, and your whole group is running and pulling this entire hallway with only 1 waste processing unit, which can be very nice. So you're welcome to do that, but most pug groups are going to do something like this. You're going to grab the waste processing unit. I like to do 2, or even this third gunk over here, which can be a little bit sketchy, but if you want to just be safe, then just do the 2 waste processing units, 2 gunks, and you should be all good. Try and keep the gunks CC'd until both of the waste processing units have actually used their cast. So they will use that Mega Drill cast, which will be unavoidable AoE damage. Make sure that both of those go off, and then you can let the corrosive gunk go off, which puts that healing absorb on. What you really just want to avoid here is just make sure that the corrosive gunks don't go off at the same time as the waste processing unit, because your healers will not be able to keep up unless they have a pretty major cooldown. Next pull, just 3 gunks. If you did that same pull, just 3 gunks. No big AoE or anything like that, so don't worry about that. Stop those as much as you can. Help your healer out, but this should go down pretty quick. Not going to be an issue. This waste processing unit will pat to and from, as you can see, that's his path right here. You can skip this on either side, so just let him pat over here. If you see him recently move over here, then you want to skip on this side. If you see him recently move over here, skip on this side. It's always better to be patient. This guy's just kind of annoying and kind of messes up your next pull. So if you're able to skip this, please do. You don't need any Mind Soothe, you don't need Stealth, you don't need anything like that. You just walk past. Going into pull 6 here, this is where we want to just we want to minimize the amount of these junkyard dogs that we have in the pull. They will do a pretty nasty dot and dash to people. So definitely make sure that you are keeping that in mind. Never go over, especially in higher keys, never go over 3 of these in a pull. If you're seeing people pulling 5 or 6 or something like that, they're just a moron. There's no way. Terrible idea. Wouldn't recommend it. Stay under 3, especially when you're grabbing this gunk the first time, unless you're able to keep this thing CC'd the entire time, because that healing absorb with a dot is just really, really brutal. So keep the gunk CC'd as much as possible, dispel when you can, and just be live lords. Next pull, very, very simple. Just going to do 3 dogs. Still going to do quite a bit of damage, so we don't need to pull it with anything else. We'll do Cujo as normal, making sure to play closer to this right side of the room over here, because we didn't pull this dog in the corner. Just unnecessary count. So yeah, we'll move on. We'll go through this little gauntlet. This is where a warlock would help. Warlocks can skip this. There's a ton of classes that have different skips of this little conveyor belt area. Hit the button here to turn off the flame vents, and then we'll go into this pull 8, 9, 10 over here. these are pretty unavoidable. There's just nothing that you can really do that's special about these. Just survive, dispel where you can, and then for these Tinkerers on this pull 8, just kick any Giga Zaps you can, use stops, help your healers out. I've seen a bunch of people recently start lusting on this guy, this Blastatron, just because he does a little bit of AoE and you want him to go faster. I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm undecided on if that would actually help. Sometimes it can be a time save if you're in a coordinated group and you decide that you want to use it there. That's fine. I don't think that this mob is worth lusting on, though. I would probably save it for Mechanist Garden just because that is really the pug killer in this entire group, or this entire run. That's really the only thing that's going to be an issue. This thing is just a non-issue. You're just saving a little bit of time by lusting this. So I probably wouldn't, but you're welcome to if you really want to. We'll go through the maze, all that sort of stuff, and we'll get to the mechanic pull. Make sure that you are using the defender shield right here. So the defender will put down a shield. We'll use it to reduce a ton of the damage that we are taking. And then, again, keep kicks on the Tinkerers because they will be Giga Zapping. And this pull goes down without a hitch pretty much every time. Lust, Mechanist, Spark Flux here, and usually every group is going to do both of these spider tanks. It's going to be a pretty hard healing check, especially on higher keys, but most healers, even if they're a little bit undergeared, can blast for long enough to do this. I would just make sure that you are either marking one with a skull, pinging one, doing something like that, showing people which one to focus because you don't want to have both of these dying at the same time. That's just going to be a lot of healing for a little bit too long. We will take the little, I don't know, thing over here and go into pull 14. This is going to be a pretty standard pull as well, making sure to get kicks on the Tinkerer to move, and especially move things out of the defender shield. They will get a damage reduction if they are standing in there, but you want to keep things close enough to it so that your group can get that damage reduction themselves. Go ahead and take out this pull. I've not seen a whole lot of people struggle with this pull. Maybe if the healer dispels a little bit incorrectly or doesn't have something to help someone out, but use personals when you have that dot on you. It can take really, really hard on higher keys, but you also should have these defender shields for most of the pull, so you'll have a lot of damage reduction at your disposal. Try, and I know a lot of people also kill these defenders very, very quickly. Your primary target should always be these defense bots or the Tinkerer. The defenders are the ones that you are wanting to keep alive, but it seems like in every group, people just are cooking these defenders. These guys just help you live so much, so leave them alive. They're friends. Don't worry about it. This is where you would either use your Warlock skip, so Warlocks can gate up here. You can Mind Soothe and then skip around. You have to hug the right-hand side, so you have to go all the way around here. You can Shroud Pass, you can do any number of things, but that's why I recommended getting a Priest, a Warlock, or a Rogue, just to make sure that you can skip that. Because this pull just adds a ton of time. It's actually pretty dangerous. Just with the two Tinkerers in this pull, people can get Giga Zapped. It's just not fun, and a lot of people will end up body pulling this pull 15 here as well. So just make sure that you skip this, and then you can drag this pull 15 into the actual boss's room. Pull 15, pretty similar to something that you've seen down here. Again, I feel like people just cook the defender. If your primary target is the defender, you're kind of trolling. Always focus these defense bots. These are the ones that actually need to die. They will be doing the most damage. You can even ping one to make your primary target. And that's the route. It's going to be very, very simple. A lot of these pulls are unavoidable. You kind of just have to do this dungeon. A lot of times this comes down to like 3-target, 4-target cleave damage. As you can see, there's not that many big pulls aside from like the first couple areas, because after this pull, you're not really getting over 6 targets ever. So even if you're going like a physical comp, maybe bring like warriors, monks, things like that are very, very good at 5 to 8 targets. That might even be a little bit better. So keep that in mind. Get a little bit of class diversity in this one. You don't need uncapped AoE the same way you would in like Cinderbrew or something. So yeah, give it a go. And then so that will put us right around 101.6% count. If you do the mage skip, then you'll be just about at 100% 0.8. So yeah, let me know how it goes. Leave a comment what you guys want to see next. Leave a like on the video if you liked it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.